Good morning. It's good to see you. We're glad that you're here. We're glad that of all the things that you could be doing this morning, you decided to show up here. And we as a family come together and we create this amazing environment where people are able to do pretty miraculous things. You're able to come in here, we're able to hold each other, we're able to cry with each other, we're able to heal together, we're able to do all these magical things that you hear about often, but they don't really seem to happen. But here, what we try and do is we try and tap into our own, and dwell in Christ. The thing the Fillmores talked about, Jesus talked about it, other masters have talked about it. And we pause for a moment in our busy, busy days, and we just connect. We connect with ourselves, we connect with God, we connect within, and we spend time in that space. Because when we do that, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's what they were talking about, right? So it's like we read all these books, we do all these things. But if we really boil it down, what does it come down to? It comes down to your relationship with yourself and the divine. And that's what it is. And when we can slow ourselves down enough and we listen, because here's the thing. You're always being talked to. The divine is always talking to you. It always is. And it's not a matter of if it's talking. What the issue is, are you listening? And so my question is, are you listening? Right? So that's what we do here. We create this really sacred space. Each and every one of you have a really unique part of this process. In other words, it's not about Mike. It's not about Jim. It's not about Erica. But what it is about, it's about all of us, because we're all part of this collective consciousness. And don't sit there and play small on me and think that, oh, he's talking about somebody else. He couldn't possibly be talking about me. No, I'm talking specifically to you. Because without you, this does not work. It doesn't. We have to do this together as a collective, as a family, in order for this thing to work. And we would be incomplete without you. And I mean that. And I hope you feel that and understand it, because this doesn't work without you. Each of us has a role to play. Each of us. And they are all important. Every single one of them. So I don't care what it may look like for you. It doesn't matter to me, because what I know is you have a genius, a divine genius expression that is there within each and every one of you, and it looks different. And they're all powerful, and they're all amazing, and they're all incredible. But sometimes what happens is we decide to play small, because we don't really matter. It's just little old me. You're the brilliant reflection of the divine. That is amazing. You are amazing. So, thank you for showing up today. Thank you for doing what you're doing. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty amazing. This year, we've been spending some time on the medicine wheel, and today is our final installment of that. So, just a little bit of a recap in case you haven't been here, that the medicine wheel actually comes down to the 4 different bodies that we have, or the directions. And as you can see up front, we started off in the spring when we talked about the spiritual body. And that is, in my opinion, where unity is strong. We're very, very strong in the spiritual body. And we spend time there going into spirit and tapping into all the magical parts of spirit that we have. And then what we do is we head into the south, and the south actually is the physical body. It's where we get to tap into this idea of being a human being on this 3rd dimensional planet, which if we're here, it's probably a good idea to know that you're physical and we got some things to do. If not, we would sit up in a cave on the mountains and we wouldn't do anything, right? And we would be what I refer to as no physically good. Anybody know anybody that's no physically good? Their feet are not on the planet and they spend all their time out there. Yeah, there's a few of those people out there. We love them, we appreciate them, but it's kind of hard to have a conversation about, I don't know, paying your bills and taking care of your family, right? Right. So then We danced into the West, and the West is the emotional body. And we spent some time talking about the emotional body and going deep inside of our emotions. And we talked about the importance of why do emotions matter? Why are they so important that we know them, we understand them, so that we go along this journey and we have these interactions with, I don't know, say human beings. Might not be a bad idea to be able to understand and relate to them and have an emotional understanding between us. And not only that, when we do our own emotional work. Yes, because it's not all up here. It actually goes in there, and that means emotional work. And what we talked about were things like spiritually bypassing. We had a little conversation about that little tidbit. And we talked about emotional intelligence. We talked about all that kind of fun stuff. But now what happens is we actually go into the mental body. The mental body, right? Oh, let me back up for a second. And why are we doing all of this? Because we believe in balance. That's what all of these teachings that came from all over the world landed on, is this idea that we're not just one-dimensional. We actually have 4 different parts of us. And that we really should be paying attention in order to live a balanced life. So we've got the spiritual, the physical, the emotional, and the last part of the medicine wheel is the mental part of it, right? And so the north is the mental body. Now, when I think about mental body, and what I want to share with you this morning about the mental body comes down to your mindset. Does anybody here think that their mindset matters? If you're not, you haven't been listening to a word that I've said. Every single week we talk about what? Spiritual mindset. And unity isn't the third principle of unity, law of mind? That what we think, we create? Isn't that how it works? Yes. It's everything. When you really look at what Jesus taught and what the Fillmores taught, it all came down to your mindset. How's your thinking? How's your thinking? Do you have good thinking, positive thinking, things that inspire you? Or do you have what's referred to as stinking thinking? It's your mindset, right? It matters. The law of mind action matters. I say it all the time when I'm up here, but I cannot emphasize to you how important you pay attention to what your thoughts are. They are creating your reality. They are. And so it's mindset. It's paying attention to what are you telling yourself. Do you feel like you're a divine being that's loved by this loving creator, and that because of that you're empowered with things and you have certain abilities to create your own life that you want to create? Do you really believe that? Or do you believe the opposite of that? And I don't know about you, but there was a time in my life where I wouldn't listen to any of that, because there was this constant clutter that was going on in my mind that told me I was less than. And it took me a while to spend time cleaning out what was in here to match what the divine thinks about me, what God thinks about me. Because there was a difference. A big difference, right? For me, there was a big difference. And so this process that we're working on is this idea that, wait a minute, so I'm loved, I'm limitless, I'm divine, and there's this side of the equation, and then there's everything else that I'm thinking. Where do they? What's going on up here? Do they match, or is there a difference? And so for me, and I believe the Fillmores and others, they started paying attention to where's the difference. Where's the difference? I really do wish that the bracelet that they made, remember the famous bracelet people were wearing for a while, What Would Jesus Do? I got a new one. I would much rather have this one. What would Jesus think? What would Jesus think? Why do I think that's important? It's really simple. Jesus knew who he was, and as a result of him knowing who he was, he also knew who God was, and he also knew what God thought he was. And all Jesus did was sit there and think those thoughts over and over and over again until he embodied those thoughts. He lived those thoughts. He talked and preached those thoughts, and that's what he told everybody to do. That's what he did. he thought like a divine being. And because of that, he knew he was limitless. He knew he could do anything. He knew he could walk on water. He could bring people back from the dead. He could turn water into wine. He knew he could do all that. Why? Because he knew he was divine. He knew he was limitless. He knew he could do anything he wanted to do. And guess what he did? He said, oh, hey, and by the way, you can do that too. You can do that too. That wasn't just a flippant remark that he made. He said it to remind each and every one of us, hey, you can do this. We don't care about your past. We don't care about what you've done or what you haven't done. It's irrelevant because of who and what you are. I always say this, you do not earn your divinity. It is who and what you are. It is who and what you are. You don't have nothing to earn, nothing. The only thing that you need to do is get rid of the crap that's up here. That's it. And start thinking like Jesus. And reminding yourself on a regular basis, I would suggest, that it's not a bad idea to tell yourself, hey, I'm divine. I'm okay. Like, I'm pretty powerful. I can do some pretty amazing things. That's not arrogant. It's who and what you are. And I think some people shy away from it because, like, well, who am I? Oh, my God. You are brilliant. You are absolutely brilliant. Excuse me. So the north, it's about your mindset, right? There's also another part of it. It's about being an adult. It's about standing fully in your power. It's about being a mentor. It's about being into service. It's about selflessness. It's about the community. It's about the common good. So we've made this journey. We've gone from in the medicine wheel, we've gone from spirit, then we were children, then we stepped into adolescence, and then we came into this idea of our young adulthood. We started living our life, and now we're in full adulthood. We are there. And so what happens with that is we start asking this question. Instead of what can I get, which is what we often ask when we're younger, we step into a different mode which says, what can I give? What can I give back? I'm telling you, when you go through your own healing journey, as you start to age, you are going to naturally, this isn't like someone's going to have to push you into this. You're going to want to give back. How many people in their heart just absolutely want to give back so much because they can feel it? They feel like, oh, I just want to give. I just want to give. I just want to give. I want to help. I don't know about you, but I can't stop thinking about that. And I don't think it's like anything I'm forcing on myself. I just think part of the awakening process, part of the healing journey, I think you just naturally go there. Why? Because it's who and what you are. Do you get that? You are love. At the heart of it, you are love. And what does love want to do? It wants to give and give and give and give. But it takes a minute for us to get there. Right? It takes a minute to go through our own healing journey, and if you're still in that, which we all are, I still am, of course I am. Otherwise, honestly, I don't think I'd be here. So I still got stuff to learn, just like every one of us do, right? But we're all doing it a little bit differently, and that's perfectly okay. It's this idea of just acknowledging who and what we are, where we're at on our spiritual journey, and then going, yeah, okay, so how is Spirit calling me forward? What's next? What's next? And that's the one thing that I would really challenge those of us that are a little bit older, is we have a tendency to get set in our ways and set in our beliefs and set in the way that we do things. And I would really challenge you to not do that. In other words, to stay like a child and continuously grow and expand. You know why? Because there's always another level. Always. We're always peeling the level like an onion, right? So there's always room, always. And I don't care what that looks like for you, but I'm just telling you that there's always something more. Jesus never stopped. And I promise you, if he were to come down right now and stand right there, he would say, yeah, he's right. Oops, sorry about that. He would say, yeah, he's right. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still expanding. I'm still stepping deeper and deeper and deeper into my own spiritual path, my own awakening, my own expansion, and my own growth. Just like each and every one of us, because that's what we do. And so I would just challenge you as you're thinking about things, which I hope you do a lot, and you're processing and trying to figure out, well, where am I at in my own spiritual journey? Are you growing? Are you expanding? Are you listening to Spirit as it calls you further? And in my opinion, that is always, always, always going on, like I said earlier, right? And so it's this idea that we step into this time of our life. We step into the winter. That's what the north is about. It's about the time. It's about winter. It's about cold. It's about things slowing down a little bit for us, just like it is in life a little bit. And we get to go within. And we get to spend time there and think about what's going on and think about, well, what could possibly be next? Even though maybe physically I'm getting older and I'm slowing down a little bit, what does that allow me to do? Well, I can serve. I can give. It also allows me to spend time and go within and say, what's next for me? Understanding there's always, 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 always a next. Life is always calling us forward. Spirit is always calling us forward. Always. And I think what happens is it seems like my observation has been, even me sometimes, that I get stuck. And I'm just going to challenge all of you to consider, maybe I need to start looking at things. Maybe I need to open myself up. What would happen if you did that? Where would Spirit call you to the next thing? Maybe there's a new book to read. For me, what I'm falling in love with is music. Again, I'm starting to play the guitar. I'm starting to do sound baths. I'm starting to do stuff, right? I figured, well, in my 40s, I'd go back and finish my degree. In my 50s, I'd become a minister. In my 60s, I think it's music, right? And being able to share that. But to me, that sounds like fun. Genuine fun, like in my heart. Like I'm going, man, that sounds like a good time. And I invite you to really, really stop and think, what sounds like fun to you? Like genuine fun. Like where's your Spirit calling you? When we tap into our Spirit, when we start to listen, happiness, joy, fulfillment, gratitude, service, all these things start to happen so naturally and so beautifully. But we have to slow down to listen, right? So, the north, the mental, the mindset, it's about this idea of being an elder, being leaders of the community, sharing that wisdom, sharing everything that you have to give back because your heart just wants to take you there. And then, what else did we talk about? I started to connect the 12 powers into each one of these seasons because, in my opinion, the 12 powers are another God-given tool that we can use, if you want to call it that. And the powers align amazingly well with the whole idea of the different seasons. And so I want to talk for a minute just about the 12 powers and how they connect and how you might want to consider using them. So remember, for those of you that haven't been with us, this idea of the 12 powers, the Fillmores believed that because of the fact that we're divine, we have access to these different powers. 12 powers specifically. I'm not going to kid you when I tell you that I think that that's not an extensive list, an exhaustive list. I think there's more things that we can call forth. But this idea, the premise is, these are principles that we can call in because of who and what we are. And if we need to apply these principles to what's going on in our life, that it could really, really, really help us quite a bit. And so we've been talking about the 12 principles. And when it comes to the mental or this part of the medicine wheel, I'm going to talk about a few, the 3 powers. The one is the power of strength. The ability to endure, to stay the course, to last, to be persistent, to preserve, to be stable, right? Charles Fillmore said, I am not weak, I am not tired, no weakness in my world. I am always filled with an increasing strength and power. God is the strength of my life. do me a favor, read that without me chomping and saying words, and feel what he said. Read it in your mind silently. How did that feel? Fillmore was saying this stuff when he was in his 90s. In his 90s. That's the kind of stuff he was calling forth into his life. The power, right? The power of strength. So, in all the powers, what we talked about is this idea they can be underdeveloped or overdeveloped. So, the power of strength, when it's underdeveloped, what it shows up like is the ability to stick with a project or a goal. How many people are, or do you know people who start something but they never finish it? We laugh. How many people are like that, right? You might want to call in the power of strength, because that will help you finish projects and get things done. That's what the power of strength is. That's why you might want to use it, right? Overdeveloped. What happens when you have an overdeveloped sense of strength? You can be stubborn, you can be forceful, and perhaps a little bit obsessed with projects and things. In other words, you can't let go of any control. You are just simply obsessed with it. You will not let go of it. You can't let any room in there for spirit, and it's just like, you just want to attack it, right? And I get it, because sometimes we need to do that, right? But sometimes it gets to be obsessive, and that's when there comes a problem. And so there's, in all good things, there's balance, right? There's balance. So that's what we're talking about. So, strength might not be a bad one to call in when you're starting a project to help you figure it out, to go through it. Like for me, when I'd been calling in strength, is picking up the guitar again and playing music again. I resisted it. So I'd start playing with it for a while, I'd set it down. Then I'd pick it up again, I'd set it down. Then I'd pick it up again and set it down. And then finally I thought, oh my God, strength, that's right, call it forward. And now, I'm just going to say I'm a lot more consistently with playing the guitar and figuring out music and doing all those kinds of fun things. So, strength might be something you might want to consider using if you're having a little bit of a problem following through with things, right? The power of order, the ability to organize, to sequence, to balance, to adjust, right? The power of order to me can become extremely helpful. How many people here have a few things going on in their day when they're trying to chase 47 different things at one time? Is anybody in here like that? Yeah, there's a lot of hands and a lot of smiles, right? I'm like that a lot because of everything I got going on in my life. So I literally call in power when I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling like I don't know what to do next. The power of order. So I'll call in order if I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed, I'm not sure what to do next, and I'm feeling confused. I will call that in, and that can be extremely helpful. When order is underdeveloped, it's somebody who can't organize, balance, or make any adjustments, because some people don't have the ability to adjust real easy. So in other words, something comes up and you get a phone call and like, oh, I got to switch over here. And then it's like, no, I can't do that. So that's what underdeveloped order looks like. It's kind of disorganized and disorderly, right? If it's overdeveloped, it's somebody who's just, again, super unaware of what's going on in their environment. So they're not paying attention to everything else that's coming in. They're just like this, and it's like everything else is kind of falling apart. And they just become, again, a little bit the same about being hyper-detailed, hyper-controlling, not willing to let go of anything. So that's what it can kind of look like if it's overdeveloped. With order, there's a misunderstanding, though, especially for those of us that have been around in the unity community. Anybody ever hear this one? It's all in divine order. Mm-hmm. Yes? Mm-hmm. Go like that, because if you've been around unity for more than 2 months, it's all in divine order. And this means, here's a misunderstanding, this means that there is this thing outside of yourself that's ordering everything and everything that happens. And it completely takes you out of the equation. It's very disempowering to say that when you really think about it and you really process it. And it doesn't mean that you can't surrender in a good, healthy way. But when you're doing it in a way that completely takes everything away from you, then I would just say you might want to look at that. You might want to look at it, right? And so, again, how do I like to use order? When things are going crazy. If I'm showing up at my desk on a Monday morning, and I don't know how many people do this, but I sit down in the morning on a Monday morning and I start organizing my day and my week, and it's like, that's a lot of stuff. I literally will call in order, claim it. And I'm going to call in the angels too, by the way. But it helps me. It legitimately helps me organize all that stuff as a tool. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tool. Okay? Finally, the power of power. Now, the thing that's funny about that is it kind of sounds redundant. So what they'll use is the power of dominion, but it's the same thing. And what is it? It's the ability to master, to dominate, to control your senses, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs. So in other words, it's this idea that you can go within yourself and you have some control. It's not like you are at the whim of all your thoughts, your beliefs, your experiences. You actually have some authority. You have some agency. And that's what the idea is with the power of dominion. Fillmore says, no one ever known themselves until they find themselves in mind, in spirit, and that's where the truth of their being is. And when this truth of their being is unfolded unto them, they see that they are in power, that they have authority and dominion over themselves. You can have that. You can have that. So the sense of dominion, especially I want you to think about it. How many people practice affirmations and denials? Just curious. How many people? Got a handful? Yeah. Why? What are we doing? We're actually, I think of it this way. It's kind of like you're standing up to the thought that says, I can't do this. I don't believe in myself. I'm not able to do this. It's kind of like you're standing up to that thought and you're saying, wait a minute. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And so you're having this thought of being able to stand up to what I call the bully. And the bully is the mindset. The bully is the thing that's in the back of your mind saying, no, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. And you finally say, oh, yes, I can. Yes, I can. So that's what the power of dominion is. The control over what's going on right here. And you have the ability to do that. So underdeveloped results in a person who can't master very much. It's a person that has little grasp of many ideas and concepts. The person has no sense of control in their life. I'm completely out of control in my life. If you're there and you feel like that's the case, you might want to call in the power of dominion. It would be helpful for you. Overdeveloped, it's a person that can easily figure things out. They're really good at doing that, but they sit there and they judge everybody else around them. They're a know-it-all. They know everything. Just ask them, they'll tell you. Right? They're really controlling, and they come across very domineering, right? They are the authority. There's no point in looking at anybody else because I know everything. I know everything. So why would I need to get anybody else involved, right? So the power of dominion actually has two functions. The first one is this idea of being able to master and have dominion over new ideas. So if you're wanting to learn something new and grasp it very quickly, the power of dominion would be something to call in. That's a really good one to have, right? And then, of course, I've already mentioned this, but the other power in dominion is this idea to overcome limited beliefs and thoughts that you're trying to deal with in your life. That's where another way to call in the power of dominion would be very, very, very helpful. Okay? So, there was a lot. We've done a lot over the year. We spent a lot of time on this amazing thing called the medicine wheel. And my hope and prayer for you is that as you process this idea, well, Mike, why? Again, why are we doing this? Balance in your life. How many people want balance in their life? I don't know, maybe one or two of you. Good, I'm in the right place. It's balance. So when you have balance in your life, if you use this structure, And the other thing that I would say that's so amazing to me is each one of the directions are all brought together by nature. My experience, and I shared this with everybody here, is when I went and did my journey, I was in nature for 4 days. Nature is the thing that pulls all of this together, because nature will speak to you as clearly as anything will ever speak to you to let you know what's going on and help you and support you. And I think nature is the thing that pulls all this stuff together. So as I think about this year and what's going on in my own life and what I would like to be able to do is I'm seriously thinking about putting some stuff together that will allow people to come out and join me in nature and spend some time there and connect with nature and let her be the one that shows you and guides you. She is absolutely amazing. She is absolutely beautiful and gentle and so wise and so wise. And when you can slow down enough to connect with her, there's some amazing things that you can do. And even if that doesn't feel good to you, just this idea of using the medicine wheel as a framework to look at your life and going, where am I balanced? Where am I balanced in my life? Am I physically okay? Am I mentally okay? Am I spiritually okay? Am I emotionally okay? Again, my experience has been we ignore one or two of those areas and we're really strong in one of the two other areas. And my suggestion would be to challenge you in those areas where you're feeling like you're not very strong, to make you a whole person as we live in this third dimensional reality, right? So, as we come to a conclusion of the medicine wheel this year, I hope you've enjoyed it. I have had an absolute thrill, and it's going to be something that I'm going to be referencing. It's not going away, folks. Not as long as I'm here. We're not going to do as deep of a dive into it every single year like I did, but you're going to hear me offering things and retreats, and occasionally you'll hear me mention the medicine wheel, and if I talk to you one-on-one, occasionally I might go, hey, what's going on spiritually? What's going on emotionally? What's going on mentally? How's this stuff going? I'm going to constantly be bouncing off of that because I just think it's such a powerful and beautiful thing. And the other thing I believe is that how interesting is it that it came from all these indigenous tribes that never talked to each other, and yet it showed up all over the world. They all had their different version of it. Maybe we could learn something from it. So I hope you've enjoyed it. It's really been fun sharing it with you. And I just really want to thank you, again, for showing up today, for the work that you are doing. Each and every one of you, whether you know it or not, you're doing work, yes. Even if you're going like, oh, no, I don't. Yeah, you are. And so I just want to acknowledge that. And I will want to acknowledge how much you are needed and how grateful I am personally that you are here and you're doing that work. And we, as a community, are doing that work. You are so needed. You are so wanted. You are so loved. And I just hope you remember that. You are the brilliant light of the divine. You are so needed. We need you. We need you. We need you. Just to be you. But show up. And don't be small when you do it. I love you. Thank you.
Hey, it's Reverend Mike here. I just wanted to stop for a moment before you get on with your day and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. It means the world to us, and I just wanted to let you know if there's anything that we can do to make your experience even better, please do not hesitate to reach out by going to our website. I also wanted to offer you the opportunity for us to get together and sit down so I could get to know you a little bit better and answer any questions that you have. I can either do that by either getting together in person, have a cup of coffee, or we can meet online via Zoom. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at michael@courage2thrive.com. And lastly, if you find these messages are helping you, we would be tremendously grateful if you'd consider donating to the center. The best and the easiest way to do that is simple. Just go to our website. Again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're doing well. God bless, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.